Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the recap of UFC 321. Tom Aspinall versus Gane was just wrapped up this Saturday, October the 25th, 2025. It was an early card. We had a lot of fantastic finishes. We had a lot of fantastic fights. We're going to break down every single fight that happened on the card. As you can tell, I have lost my voice. I was screaming for half of these fights. It was an absolutely phenomenal night of fights. If you guys do enjoy, make sure to check out the other videos as well. And let's get right into it. Without further ado, the early prelim opener that was Mizuki Inoue versus Jacqueline Amorim. Now, Mizuki Inoue, has only fought 2 times in the last 5 years. Her last win was Hannah Goldie, and she lost to Amanda Lemos back in 2020 as well. She had fought some really good contenders, but again, been out for a while, had a couple issues, comes in to fight Jacqueline Amorim, who's a BJJ specialist, very, very good on the ground, 100% finish rate, and she's just absolutely nasty inside of the UFC so far. She'd only lost to Sam Hughes, who's also a pressure wrestler, just kind of combated Amorim and her pressure grappling herself and just fell short. Mizuki Inoue just used really, really good striking, beat up Jacqueline Amorim on the feet, never got taken down herself. I think she did once, but got back up, and eventually she took down Jacqueline Amorim herself, and I guess that staying away for 5 years is the best way to keep a base against BJJ, because I don't know how the hell she won. I really, really don't. I would have given Amorim, 500 out of 501 fights that she would have won this fight, and she lost to Mizuki Inoue. A little bit shocking for me, but Jacqueline Amorim, again, coin flip fight. It's a women's fight. You really don't know. The odds don't really portray what you're seeing. I actually thought if Inoue had been active, she was going to beat Amorim, but because of the inactiveness, I thought the ring rust would have played off. It did not. Next on the prelims, Mitch Raposo versus Azit Maxim. Now, I know I said in the recap or the predictions and breakdowns that I was going to be picking Azit, but I was going to be a little bit backed off on it. I think I said plus 3.5 for Mitch Raposo was going to be the bet, and it was. I also ended up betting Mitch Raposo on the money line. I think Azit Maxim's a little bit overrated for the UFC in my opinion. He doesn't use his range well. He kind of overthrows, and if he doesn't get takedowns, you're in a bit of a fucking shit situation, because his wrestling's kind of his only thing, and it's kind of the thing that keeps him in the UFC, because he has that ability to force guys to stay on the feet with him, and he tries to tag him up. Now, he fought Charles Johnson, lost. Tayyar Ulanbekov got out grappled. And you have Tyson Nam, who went to a split decision. And I thought Nam won that fight rounds 2 and 3. And then you lead into Mitch Raposo, who's really good on the striking. When he doesn't use his wrestling, he actually just goes into full boxing mode and is really slick. Exactly what happened in this fight. Mitch Raposo does have a bit of an issue with not throwing and going first. He did face adversity in this fight, and he was experiencing some issues with that in round 2, where he was not throwing first. And I gave Mitch the benefit of the doubt for round 3 coming into it. His corner even yelled at him. They were pleading with him to please go first. He eventually started going first, ended up beating up Azit Maxim on the feet, landing some really good strikes, some really good right hands, landing to the body nice, ended up beating up the minus 500 favorite to become one of the biggest underdogs on the card to win, which is really, really sick. I'm really happy for Mitch. He finally got back into the win column. I actually got really emotional for it too, because he's been dealing with some demons. This guy talks about how he's dealt with a lot of adversity in his life. He's probably was fighting for his job tonight, and he came out and he beat up the minus 500 favorite plus through. He ends up saying plus 350 who in his post-fight speech. Very, very good win for Mitch Raposo. I can't wait to see him back sooner than later. Next on the prelims, an absolutely fucking terrible fight that I'm not even going to talk about. Hamdi Abdel-Wahab versus Chris Barnett. BC Boy unfortunately ate an elbow to the back of the head early in round 1. They did stop the fight for a little while. Chris looked really uncomfortable with that fight. Going forward, equilibrium was off, didn't really look all to himself, and just ended up falling short and losing again inside the UFC for 2 in a row after losing to Kennedy and Jetsku late last year, which almost is a year to the dot since he fought last. Hamdi Abdel-Wahab is an absolute piece of shit. This guy should be out of the UFC. I don't like him at all. If he's not on PEDs, he looks like ass. And in this fight, he wasn't on PEDs. He was just fighting fucking Chris Barnett. This is the only guy they can let him win against. And any other day of the week, if Chris Barnett was 245, I'd bet you $1,000 that he beat the fuck out of Hamdi Abdel-Wahab. Barnett just doesn't seem to care about MMA anymore after the loss of his wife, which is completely understandable. Still has a son and a daughter to go home to. I think he's just fighting for the money at this point from what it seems. Next on the prelims, this is a robbery in my opinion, and it's not even close. Nathaniel Wood versus Jose Delgado. Now, Jose Delgado beat the fuck out of Nathaniel Wood in the first round, dropped him, almost put him out. Nathaniel Wood ends up dropping Jose Delgado as well, but Jose Delgado gets back up, beats him up some more, and he wins round 1. Now we go into round 2. I thought Jose Delgado won, but yes, Nathaniel Wood was putting some pressure on him, landing some good strikes, getting in close. Sure. The right hand of Nathaniel Wood was really the moneymaker there. Sure, okay. Maybe it's 1-1, but I would say 2-0 Delgado. We go into round 3. It's pretty close, leading into the end of the round. Delgado's still not bleeding. Nathaniel Wood's starting to leak a little bit more. Granted, it is the cut from the first round, but it's starting to open up a little bit more in his face. And Jose Delgado, lands some good strikes, close striking numbers, but I would have given the edge to Jose Delgado with the damage. Ends up with Nathaniel Wood winning a unanimous 29-28 decision, which I did not think was right whatsoever. The MMA Lab project in Jose Delgado has been very, very fluid, very, very good looking for the last couple of years coming up. And I think he beat Nathaniel Wood here. I think he actually put it on him. And I think the strike differential, I understand the strike count was in Nathaniel Wood's favor, but I would argue that Jose Delgado dealt almost 4 times the amount of damage that Nathaniel Wood landed against Delgado. He wasn't really bleeding that much. I think he had a bruise. He didn't look that messed up. Nathaniel Wood was landing some nice kicks, but Delgado landing back, good body kicks from Delgado, good straights. The 1-2 was nice, snapping the head back of Nathaniel Wood. The knees in close were really, really good to finish off the combinations. I just felt like they meant a little more, and I think that the judges should have felt it that way too. I'm not going to complain about it too much, but it is what it is. Jose Delgado ends up losing to Nathaniel Wood, the prospect, who is now known as the last Kingsman. Next on the prelims, we had a very easy fight to predict. Walter Walker versus Louis Sutherland. Now, Louis Sutherland's another one of those unranked UFC fighters who just got brought out from some shitty organization in Levels Fight League. Fighting in probably Scotland is where he's fighting, I'm assuming. No, the Netherlands, it is what it is. Same type of shit. Ends up getting his ass beat the fuck up and submitted by Walter Walker very quickly in the first round. It was really easy to see coming. Walter Walker clearly looking for the heel hook the whole time. Louis just allowed himself to get wrapped up in it, and he sat back on it, and Louis rolled, couldn't roll anymore, ends up getting submitted. Very, very easy win for Walter Walker. Looks really, really good, can speak English, can speak Portuguese, can speak Russian, and he's just got so much going for him. He's such a star. He's a big challenge at heavyweight, man, especially with the grappling skills. As long as he can stay clean on the feet, we'll see him make fucking wonders at 265. Now, next on the prelims, we had Ludovic Klein versus Mateus Rebecki. I gave the fight to Ludovic Klein. Some people had it a draw. I had Ludovic Klein the first 2 rounds. They gave it to Rebecki the third round, maybe 10-8, because of how bad Klein got beat up. I wouldn't have given it to him 10-8. I would have given Rebecki 10-9 in that third round. Ludovic Klein could have been given a fucking 10-8 in one of those rounds. He beat the fuck out of Rebecki. Had him beat up really, really bad. Wasn't really throwing a whole lot back, and Rebecki was just kind of getting chinned while standing in that second round. Ludovic Klein ends up getting gassed in the third round, looking a little bit worse for wear. Ends up getting onto his back. Rebecki landing incredible shots. And then we did see in the replay that on the takedown from Rebecki early in round 3, Ludovic Klein seemed to have broken his ankle from the takedown. He was kind of frozen for a second, eating some really, 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 really big shots from Mateus Rebecki. Didn't really address those shots whatsoever, and then eventually started moving again. I was a little bit concerned for him because I didn't understand what was going on, but ends up the fact that, yes, he did break his ankle, but wins the fight anyway because he had won the first 2 rounds. They gave a majority decision, which is a little bit weird. I guess the cards were all over the place. One had 28-27, one had 28-28, one had 29-28. A little bit weird with the scorecards there, but again, I think the right guy got it done. Ludovic Klein, Mr. Highlight, gets another one in the books at lightweight. Now we're going to move on next on the prelims. Ikram Aliskerov versus Jung Young Park. Jung Young Park is a very, very good fighter. He showed a lot of heart in this fight. The jabs were there for him. He was putting out a lot of heat against Ikram Aliskerov. Just couldn't put enough out there to get Ikram out of there in the third round. It was very clear Ikram Aliskerov was gassed after that second half of the second round. Didn't really have a whole lot left. Looked like he was kind of faulting very rapidly at the end of that second round. And I think Jung Young Park felt it, trying to put a little bit more pressure on him. He's gassed himself. He can't really throw a whole lot out there. Ikram looked good the first 2 rounds. That third round starts looking real sloppy. Looks like Jung Young Park might be able to put him out. And then Ikram Al-Scarab ends up getting a really good takedown. Really shows off that wrestling. Really shows off that he's not just a one-dimensional fighter. If he really needs to go to it, he will go to the wrestling, and he is quite good at it. Jung Young Park, I really did not think was going to be taken down that easily. The Iron Turtle has quite solid wrestling himself, and he's actually very good in the submission defense, which he showed in this fight as well after not getting submitted from the back. But Ikram Al-Scarab, again, adds another one to the win column. It is what it is. Jung Young Park, he's kind of one of those guys that's just going to be given shitty fights for his whole life. He will only beat the cans. He will not beat the top level contenders, and Ikram Al-Scarab, in my opinion, top-level contender. It is what it is at 185. I'd like to see Ikram actually move down to 170. It looks like he's a little bit of fat on him when he fights at 185, and I think he would do wonders at 170 with the weight cut. Just lean out a little bit, man. I think you can do it. 170 might be a powerhouse for you down there. Now, next on the prelims, we had the highlighted prelim of the evening, which was Quillian Salkeld versus Nasrat Haqparast. Now, I told you guys on Thursday or Friday, whenever I uploaded that video, that when they put you right before the main card, they want you to get a finish. And a lot of people were thinking this fight was going to decision. I had Quillian Salkeld. I thought he was going to get done inside distance, and he does with flying colors. Nasrat Haqparast is landing some really good strikes, landing through the shitty guard that Quillian Salkeld did have. Wasn't keeping his hands up tight. I was kind of just loose with the guard. Quillian Salkeld ends up just throwing some leg kicks, setting it up low, and then just throwing a high kick that Nasrat Haqparast actually tried to block. He put his hand up. Did not work. Put his hand up, got fucking clipped, puts out Nasrat Haqparast face first on the canvas. He was out for double the amount of time the fight was going on. I want you to put that in perspective. He was unconscious for almost 5 minutes. That boy is probably fucked up for life. That could be a career ender for Nasrat Haqparast. That's a very, very bad knockout. But let me tell you, it's a fucking career starter for Quillian Salkeld. If you wanted to put fucking gasoline on that fire, you just did it very, very well. Bit of a problem I do have with it, though, if you really look into it, happened to Jalen Turner. This is one of those fights that can put fighters on a back pedal. This can really ruin a fighter's career. And I'm not talking about Nasrat Haqparast. I'm talking about Quillian Salkeld. When you see a guy that you just chinned out for 5 minutes, he could have possibly been dead. You're sitting there, and we were all worried that that man was dead. We were very, very stressed out that that guy was dead. Everyone, they turned away the broadcast and everything. They were very worried that that guy was unconscious and not coming back. Luckily, he did come back, and Nasrat Haqparast is okay. He was standing up, and he was fine. But again, it can ruin a man's career. Just look out for Quillian Salkeld down the middle and see if he's still throwing that much heat at 155. Now, next on the main card, to start off the main card, you had Azamat Murzakanov versus Alexander Rakic. And I had Murzakanov by knockout or decision. A lot of people are picking decision. They thought Rakic was going to be able to take it far. Let me tell you, Rakic has eaten some really devastating shots from some guys recently. And Azamat Murzakanov is not a guy you want to eat a shot from. He's very tiny. He will throw everything into his strikes. And that's what he did against Alexander Rakic. Just a nice fucking straight. Put Rakic down on the ground, some big ground and pound shots, put him out, and Azamat Murzakanov gets another round 1 victory in quick fashion. Looked very good doing it. Looked very small for light heavyweight, or maybe it's just the fact that Rakic is fucking huge for light heavyweight, but he looked completely outmatched, and he still put on a show. I had Murzakanov on the money line as well. Plus money for Murzakanov, who's undefeated, is kind of fucking laughable at best for a guy who's taking on Rakic, who's on a 3-fight loss streak, and one of those is a leg injury that was pretty fucking bad. I love Murzakanov here, and I'm glad he got it done. He looked good. Rakic, again, looked like shit. Would do better against some easier guys at light heavyweight. I don't think he should be fighting the top of the top anymore. It is what it is. Murzakanov puts him in his place, and you have Rakic put out on the canvas for another finish on the card, 2 in a row, and that leads into a fucking terrible fight. That was Alexander Volkov versus Jailton Almeida. Now, I thought Volkov was going to put Almeida out. Almeida's one of those guys that seems to quit. When he gets hurt really bad, he kind of just gives up. Volkov had the top position at the end of the first round, beat him up, landing some really good ground and pound from his back in round 2 and 3. Ended up stealing a split decision due to damage against Jailton Almeida. Very lackluster of a performance from both men. I had Alexander Volkov by knockout, and that $20 bet would have paid $1,400 because of the fact that I hit all the other ones. I had, what did I have there for that bet? I had Walter Walker submission, Ludovic Klein decision, Azamat Mirzakhanov by knockout or decision, and then I had Volkov by knockout. It did not end up happening. Unfortunately, if I bet decision, I would have ended up winning $4,000. It is what it is. But Volkov gets it done. Looks okay doing it. Again, I'm very happy that he at least wins this one. They probably gifted this one after that Cyril Gane fucking robbery. Laughable at best, that fucking fight. Jailton Almeida, again, lay and pray doesn't work. I'm glad that the judges are finally seeing it that way. A very good win for Alexander Volkov, and a very good way to get back into that win column after that bullshit robbery that was last year in December. Now we have Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Bautista next on the main card. And Umar Nurmagomedov got fucking dropped by Bautista early. Was in a deep toe hold in the first round. Ate that knee in the second round. Still, by the way, Umar Nurmagomedov won every single round. Ends up with a 30-27 victory over Mario Bautista. Just controlled the fight completely, landed the better shots. Umar was limping from that toe hold afterwards. He was pretty fucked up with that ankle, but was not enough to distract him from that victory and to keep moving forward. Umar Nurmagomedov moves on to 19-1 at bantamweight, getting one step closer to that rematch for the bantamweight championship of the world against Merab Dvalishvili. Mario Bautista, again, two kind of bullshit wins in a row. He fights Jose Aldo and he fights Patchy Mix. Kind of like, what the fuck am I watching at this point? And he gets given Umar Nurmagomedov. I knew how it was going to go. Everyone knew how it was going to go. That's why it was a minus 700 tag on the fight. Good win for Umar Nurmagomedov. Now we go next on the main card. We have the co-main event of the evening. Mackenzie Dern taking on Virna Jandiroba for the vacated strawweight championship of the world. I had it close. I had it 48-47 either way. Virna took some of the early rounds, and then we moved into Mackenzie Dern just going on a bit of a spree. 2, 3, 4 might have been for Dern. 5 I would have given to Jandiroba for landing the better strikes. It was very, very close. Very good fight. Jandiroba needs to work a little bit more on her striking. When she's forced to stand with Dern, she gets beat up. And when she takes the fucking fight to the ground, Dern was beating her up from the ground. She was landing really good elbows from like Volkov was against Jailton Almeida. I guess she saw that fight and saw some fucking inspiration. Was landing really, really good ground and pound and beat the hell out of Jandiroba. Got a black eye early in the rounds. Mackenzie Dern ends up with a black eye of her own. But again, Virna Jandiroba bleeding, piss and blood everywhere. Doesn't look that good. Looks really beat up, and she does end up losing the fight. Mackenzie Dern wins by unanimous decision, 48-47, 48-47, and 49-46 to take that vacated strawweight throne and to continue moving forward. I don't know who she's going to fight next. Maybe we put fucking Jessica Andrade in there just for the fucking show of it and watch her ass get beat up. But good win for Mackenzie Dern, I guess. The people's champ. You know why. A lot of people on Reddit were very excited over that. Good win for Mackenzie Dern. I would like to see her in the octagon soon again, but against higher level competition than what the fuck Virna Jandiroba is. Jandiroba is really good when she fights girls that do not know what they're doing on the ground. As soon as she fights someone that knows what they're doing on the ground and can throw a little bit of hands, she gets cut real quick, and it is what it is. Now we're going to move on, talk about this very, very quickly and get you guys out of here. A little bit unfortunate. Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane in the main event of the evening. It ends in a no contest. Cyril Gane double eye pokes Tom Aspinall, and it gets really bad. The right eye of Tom Aspinall he cannot see out of. It gets very, very, very dark. The eye is closed, and he actually really can't see out of it. Has to be helped off the stage. Very, very bullshit fight. I'll tell you what, though. These odds are not going to be that close next time. Cyril Gane was looking quite good in that first round. Had Tom Aspinall bleeding. The left hand of Cyril Gane was getting through. Aspinall was following well. I tried to land a couple takedowns, did not get them. And it was really looking like we might go to a decision and have ourselves a Jesus Christ, the hiccups. Every 2 seconds here. My God. Oh, there we go. That kind of fixed. Anyway, Cyril Gane was doing well. A really unfortunate ending. He's going to have to go back to the drawing board now. 4 months at minimum for Tom Aspinall to recover from that and to get his ass back on a card for a main event. We already have the next 3 or 4 set up, so you already know it's going to be a little bit of a while. Cyril Gane, unfortunately, eye pokes, ends the fight on a premature no contest. not the way you want to stay, and still not the way you want to add to your record. And it's very unfortunate that we had to stop the fight early, but it is what it is. He can't see, and I need my boy Tom Aspinall to stay with it at heavyweight, because he's the greatest thing I've seen in a long time. I don't want the heavy division to get boring again, and I don't need Ciryl Gane, who lost to fucking Volkov and who lost to Francis Ngannou grappling, to be the fucking champ. That's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Again, I lost my voice. It was that good of a card, guys. That's how insane it was. It was a fantastic card. UFC 321 was one of the best cards I've seen in a long time, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I will see you guys all later for the I guess the compilation of the reactions. I'll see you guys all on Tuesday for the predictions and breakdowns for the upcoming Steve Garcia versus David Onama card, which is on November 1st, 2025. I will see you guys all later. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Talk to y'all later. Peace.